Good evening. The Eastham Conservation Commission will hold a hybrid public meeting on Tuesday, March 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, MGL Chapter 30A, Sections 18 to 25, Open Meeting Law, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 155 of the Code of the Town of Eastham. This meeting is being broadcast on Public Access Channel 8 and streamed on YouTube. It will be rebroadcast on Channel 8 and meeting videos will be available on YouTube. Before we begin, a quick reminder. While our meetings are relatively informal, the Commission uses a simplified version of Robert's Rules. The chair runs the meeting and everyone should speak through the chair after being recognized. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak. We allow discussion between commissioners, staff, and applicants, and may extend that to abutters. For NOIs and RDAs, the applicant will present first, followed by discussion with the commission and staff. Once commission questions have slowed, abutters will have a chance to speak, followed by other members of the public as time allows. The chair may set time limits if needed. Please keep your microphone muted unless it is your turn to speak, and let the chair know if you plan to record the meeting. Most importantly, please be respectful of others so that we can keep the meeting productive and focused. I'm going to take attendance and then we'll begin. Janet Benjamins.
Here.
Joanne Cossett is not here tonight. Greg Douglas.
Here.
Mike Rivers.
Here.
Cinnamon Slavel.
Here.
Chuck Wagner is not here. And Karen Strauss, I am here. Before we begin, I just want to make note that Commissioner Swabel has completed a review of meetings that she missed and filed her Mullen paperwork and will be part of the voting forum tonight. Okay, and we start off as usual with the public comment period. This is when anybody wishes to speak briefly on a matter not on our agenda. If you could please make yourself known. Okay, and seeing no one, our first matter tonight is a certificate of compliance filed by John and Jane Malloy, SE 19-1579, for the demolition of an existing addition and construction of a larger addition, land hardscaping, and an outdoor kitchen, foundation plantings, removing beach grass and bearberry planting, non-native plants, and driveway improvements at property located at 25 Bayview Drive, map 13, parcel 049. And we were out there today, and we're going to start off with a review of the site conditions, and it appeared to us, do we have somebody here representing that tonight? Okay. We did have a few concerns about the survivability of foundation plantings and the configuration of the deck and whether the hot tub was approved. I think we can either continue to get more information, or we might do a Jason, sorry, I did not see you there.
That's okay.
You're very tiny on my screen tonight.
That's okay. If if you have a list of things that you want me to take a look at, I'd be happy to take those from you and we could go take a look at it.
Okay, this is a older project, and
It is.
yeah, so we were unable to today look at the plantings to determine whether they've survived and what their status is. So we'd like to know that. And then there's a hot tub that wasn't on the original plan, and the configuration of the deck over in that same location doesn't appear to match the original plan.
Okay.
So I think those are our concerns. Let me just ask if anybody on the commission has anything additional.
Nope.
Okay, so wondering if we might maybe continue to the next meeting.
That's fine.
Okay, and our next meeting is April 14th. So if we could have a motion to continue this matter to April 14th.
Move to continue to April 14th.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Greg?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Next up is a continuation of notice of intent. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the on-site. Next up is a certificate of compliance filed by the Scott Family Irrevocable Trust for the construction of stone revetment and removal and replacement of beach access stairs at property located at 31 Bayview Lane, map 13, parcel 157. And this is also an older filing. And okay. And it has since been replaced by no, I'm sorry. Okay, this is also older filing. We were at the site today. And Cinnamon, you're going to go through the site visit for us if you don't mind.
Absolutely. For the construction of the stone revetment, we were fine with that, and I had no further follow-up or questions on that. We would like to see more details on the survivability of the mitigation plan. So that would be something that I would be asking for in order to close this out.
For this site? There's
Um,
two Bayberry. Okay, so there's two Bayberry. This is the one for the stairway, not the one for the house.
Okay, so we're all fine on that. I'm sorry, I did get it confused.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna note that this order expired some time ago, and that the nourishment for the revetment has been ongoing despite the expired order of conditions. And so we're gonna kind of fix that tonight. It's suggested that we have ongoing conditions of number 29, stabilization of plantings, 31, annual beach nourishment, and 34 maintenance, and 36 beach access for nourishment. And I know that the Scott family is at the Earl Mountain Room, and I want to ask if they have any comments or anything they'd like to say on this matter.
Thank you, Dan Ojala. I'm a surveyor and civil engineer with Downcape Engineering in Yarmouthport. No, we had submitted these. They are, as you noted, a little bit dated. There's a healthy crop of beach grass growing on the renourished area, so that was kind of nice to see. Just a couple of AC units around the house. There was snow on the ground when I was there, so the plantings look pretty good to us. But if you need a little bit more
If
on
you don't
that,
mind, I'm going to interrupt. We're right now
Sure.
just talking about SE 191460, which is just the revetment and beach stairs. We'll
yeah.
get to the
So
house
there,
next.
sure. The stairs and revetment are fully covered, and there's a pretty healthy crop of beach grass. And of course, if you dump sand every year, the beach grass is stressed a little bit, but it tends to be okay. Glad to answer any questions on it. I think being that it's an active area of nourishment, it's doing pretty well considering.
Right. The coastal bank looked very stable to us, and the beach grass very well established.
Yeah.
So we were very pleased to see that. Okay. So any other questions from the commission? Okay. So if we could have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for SE 19-1460.
Motion to approve the certificate of compliance for SC 19-1460.
And a second, please.
Seconded.
Mike,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, and now we're on to the house one. A certificate of compliance filed by the Scott Family Irrevocable Trust, SE 19-1565, for the demolition of an existing dwelling and construction of a new dwelling and additions, screen porch, reconstruction of the existing deck, porches, and outdoor shower at property located at 31 Bayberry Lane, map 13, parcel 157. And Cinnamon, if you want to just go through that portion of the site visit for us, please.
Okay, so I apologize. Everything was fine with the home. And if I'm trusting myself now, we were looking for a more detailed plan on the mitigation of the survivability of the mitigation. So if we would be asking for that.
All right, if that's, this is Dan Ojala from Down Cape, through the chair. We can, now that the snow is gone, we can have our landscape architect go out there and count the plants and give you guys a little report on that. Be happy to do it.
Okay, thank you. And we also do note that you noted for us that the 2 AC units were not approved in the original plan. And I'm going to say I think that's a very minor change that we can just approve as part of the certificate of compliance. So again, would we like to continue this to the next meeting, April 14th?
Yeah, or maybe even the next one, if we're going to looking for, make sure the plants wake up, then we could give you a report on that. I don't know if that would be appropriate to go a couple of months out.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think there's a urgency here unless you have one. So that would be the April 28th meeting.
Yeah, that would probably be best.
Okay, so just to see if there's any other questions from the commissioners. Janet?
Yes, in the submission, it said that they had visited the site in February 2025. And I just wanted to make sure they did mean February 2025, or did they mean 2026?
This job has been kicking around a while. There was snow on the ground in 2/11/25, so that was accurate. We didn't revisit the plantings, I guess, since, but again, there has been snow, so I think yeah, that was accurate. It's just a little bit old. Again, if we given a couple months, we'll be able to give you a good report on the plants.
I'm not sure you understood what I said.
Yeah,
Was
2/26 versus 2/25.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's 2/11/25 is the date of the photograph, so that's accurate. It was the job has been kicking around since for an extra.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, if we could have a motion to continue this to April 28th.
Move to continue to April 24th, isn't it?
28th.
28.
Is there a second, please?
Second?
Greg,
Yes, yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Cinnamon? Cinnamon,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, thank you. And
Thank you. I'll see you on when the next matter comes up on the site. Thank you.
yes, okay. Next, we have certificate of compliance filed by Patricia L. Ryder Irrevocable Trust, SE 19-638 for the construction of beach stairs at property located at 330 Silver Spring Beach Road, map 04, parcel 447. And this is an older filing that from 31 years ago, 1995, and the work has been superseded by the next item on our agenda, SE 19-1547. So we're being asked to issue a certificate of compliance for work we are unable to review. However, we were at the site today and everything looks stable. So administratively, I believe we should close this matter out, noting that the work was done at the time, has been superseded by SE 19-1547, and that the site looks stable. And that should be sufficient to clear the matter off of the deed. So just want to see if there are any questions or comments from the commission or anybody. Okay, so if we could have a motion to that.
Move to approve the certificate of compliance for SC 19
Janet, we're not actually approving the certificate of compliance, so we need a motion to close the matter. I'll repeat. So we're looking for a motion to close this matter administratively because it is too old to review the actual work and has since been superseded by SE 19-1547. So we need a motion to close this out administratively.
So
Just say
Move
so
to-
moved.
so moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. Mike,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
and I am a yes. And next we have certificate of compliance filed by Patricia L. Ryder Irrevocable Trust, SE 19-1547, for the replacement of a beach access stairs at property located at 330 Silver Springs Beach Road, map 04, parcel 447. And as we discussed, this replaced the previous beach stairs, and we were out there today, and it looks good. So if we could have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Mike,
Yes.
Cinnamon? Oh, Alex, do you need to say something before we vote?
Then we were going to include ongoing conditions for maintenance.
Oh, you are absolutely right. So we are, let's try that again. So if we can, if somebody would agree to withdraw the motion, and then we'll have a new one.
Move to withdraw the motion.
Okay. So if we could have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for SE 19-1547 with ongoing conditions number 29 for maintenance and number 31 for beach access.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. And is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Mike,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay. Our next up is a continuation of plan change request filed by John Sheehan for SE 19-1853. Applicant proposes to change the front walkway, front porch footprint, the reconfiguration of the patio on the west side of the dwelling, the path with steps to be shifted away from the dwelling deck, relocation and increase of mitigation, removal of access stairs to the basement, reduce the deck on garage and layout, reduce at size and location of planting beds, have been altered at property located at 715 Bridge Road, map 19, parcel 004. And we were out at the site this morning, and in spite of that very long list of changes, they all appear to be quite minor and in keeping with the mitigation that we had determined was important during the initial issuing of the OOC and the initial hearings. So I will ask if anybody has any questions or comments on this. And seeing none, I will ask if we might have a motion to approve the plan change request for SE 19-1853.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Janet,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
and I am a yes, and we are done. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have the continuation of administrative review filed by Deborah Spar and Miltos Katomeris. Applicant proposes to remove 4 trees at property located at 175 Eldridge Drive, map 01, parcel 059. And we have continued this matter through, I believe this is our 3rd hearing, and we had asked the applicant several times to to flag the trees that they wanted to remove, and that has not been done. We were out at the site this morning, and we have been unable to to determine which trees are being asked for removal, and therefore, having given them sufficient time, I would request that somebody make a motion to deny the permit application.
Move to deny the permit application for 175 Eldridge Drive.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second?
Okay, Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, next up, notice of intent filed by First Encounter Village Condominium Association. Applicant proposes to reduce annual sand nourishment requirements at properties located at 12, 14, 16, and 18 Sherwood Road, map 13, parcels 133E, 133D, 133C, and 133B. And who is here to speak to that tonight?
Good evening, Chuck Rowland, Cape and Islands Engineering.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. You guys have definitely moved through your agenda pretty quickly so far. With your permission, I'm going to share my screen.
Could you speak up, Chuck? Chuck, could you speak up a little bit loud?
Sure, does that work?
Maybe just a little bit louder?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
With your permission, I'm going to share my screen. If you let me know when you can see the site plan in front of you.
We
Yeah.
can see it.
Great.
It's very tiny though. If you maybe could zoom in on the relevant bits.
Sure, yeah. When I kind of get to that, I will, but I just wanted to kind of give you the overview first. So again, Chuck Rowland, Cape and Islands Engineering. I'm representing the owners of 12, 14, 16, 18 Sherwood Road. You have been to the site several times, originally for a very similar application for number 20. And then we had a certificate of compliance request, and in which we tried to request a reduction, and that special condition in the certificate of compliance was not approved, and you guys requested for us to file a notice of intent, and so here we are. So we're requesting the reduction of beach nourishment for 12, 14, 16, and 18. And then this is the detail cross section. So a little bit of history without going through my whole notice. A certificate of compliance for the project at 16 and 18 was issued in April 18th, 2007 with an ongoing condition, number 18, requiring 183 cubic yards of annual beach nourishment. And the plan was done by Felco Engineering. 220 cubic yards of nourishment and mitigation with 33 cubic yards of sand, compensatory storage for a total of 253 cubic yards of sand placed each year is what was listed on the plan. And so we came to 183 because that original order was for also encompassed 20. So that got taken out, and that calculation for that nourishment was 1.5 feet of erosion per year. And similarly for 12 and 14, which is over here, one of the ongoing conditions required 103 cubic yards of annual nourishment with 18 cubic yards of compensatory storage. And again, that calculation used 1.5 feet per year. And then if you go back to our section here, I'll show you what we are requesting. This request is part of an overall recalculation of the required beach nourishment, which you guys did approve for number 20, which uses 0.6 of a foot of erosion per year. And so this would come out to 103.8 cubic yards with compensatory storage of 45 cubic yards. So The way we came up with the 0.6 feet per year is that using the coastal zone management long-term projection, they have 3 cross sections right in a row, which was included both the short-term and long-term map was included in the notice of intent that you all received. And so the long-term erosion rate for all 3 sections consisted of 0.6 feet per year. And so that's how we came up with that calculation. And then the way we came up with our proposed compensatory storage is we calculated out the linear feet per year using the Felco design, so which came to 4.1 cubic yards per linear feet. Sorry, that's actually a typo. It's 4 cubic feet per linear foot. So 0.4, sorry, and we rounded up to use 0.15 cubic yards per linear foot. So 45 cubic yards to be placed above the revetment, as you can see here in the upper shaded area. And we're proposing to place that when it becomes too thin to provide a year's worth of coverage over the sandbags in that area. And so without going through all the performance standards, essentially this beach has started to accrete actually throughout the years. And so, and we believe that's because of the excess nourishment that we have shown that has been placed on the beach. And so we believe that coming in line with the coastal zone management erosion rate calculation from the top of the revetment, not just down to the beach elevation, but to elevation 0, which is a very conservative estimate. We don't believe that the toe goes all the way down to -3. And then you can see in the Felco design, we think that it probably was not placed quite that low. So if we go to the calculation was used going from 0 all the way up to the top of the revetment, which I believe that we used 16.5. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. And I'm going to say that I was very impressed with the details, the detailed nature of your application here, that you really were very thorough in the work you did and how you laid it all out for us to review. And I think I can say that we all really appreciate that level of work. And I actually have no questions. So I'm going to open that up to the rest of the commission and see if anybody have any questions, any comments. Janet?
Yes. If we are agreeing to approve less nourishment because so far there has been accretion, what is the way in the future, if it no longer accretes, to request more nourishment?
Is that directed towards me or the chair?
Yes. So I think each commissioner is going to direct their questions to you,
Okay.
and then you can just go ahead and answer them.
Sure. So in one of the order of conditions, as well as the draft order of conditions, which Alex shared with me, the commission, one of the sentences in it is the commission has the right to change the sand volume at any time. And so that's part of the reason why we are requesting this reduction. Obviously, it behooves my client to have a beach there, because once you lose the beach, you're going to lose the revetment. And if you lose the revetment, we're going to be losing a lot more than just a little bit of sand. It'll obviously put the house in jeopardy, especially number 12 here at the end with the deck so close. All of these are fairly close. So it definitely behooves us to not lose the beach. I can't think of any specific language off the top of my head that we would need on top of that condition. but it clearly states in the order that if something were to come up, the commission can change it. If
Thank
that's,
you.
Yep.
Janet, any follow-up?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Mike?
Chuck, I had one question. You made a statement that the accretement in the sand in front of this revetment is directly related to the nourishment. Do you feel that's an accurate statement?
I believe that I believe that the nourishment definitely, the accretion definitely is because of the excess sand that we've been putting there.
And do you think there are other factors in play for
Oh,
accretion in front of it?
100%. You can't, without doing a massive study, I 100% cannot say for sure that every particle on that beach is due to the sand that we put there.
Okay.
But
I just wanted to make that clear. That some of that sand could be from Dennis, and you and I understand that there's lots of sand that goes up and down the beach, and that we're glad that you're gone through this exercise and happy also to see the level of detail you've given us. But I don't want anybody listening to this to think that because they put sand in the beach gets bigger, because that's not the direct correlation.
that's fair. Yes.
Yeah, but Mike, I don't know that it would come from Dennis. If you look at the sediment transport study that Coastal Studies did, I think in 2018, 2020, and look at the nodal points along our beach and so on, that it's unlikely to have come from that farm, but
I'm being facetious to make a point.
okay.
This is a
Okay.
multifactorial process, and there is not a
Yes.
direct correlation between nourishment of a revetment and accretion without other variables. That's the only point that I wanted to make.
And that is, yes, that is absolutely true. But yeah. Okay. Any other commissioner comments here? Okay. So I think I want to say that I also appreciate that you're now managing this as a unit instead of as separate conditions for each portion of the revetment. I think that'll make it very much easier going forward to keep a handle on what's going on there. And in terms of when it might need more nourishment, I think if we start seeing the beach depleting and the beach lowering in front of the revetment and so on, that would be a very good time to start reviewing what the nourishment calculations are. Okay, so I will ask if there are any abutters on this call who would like to make any comments at this time. Chuck, could you drop the screen share?
Sure.
Okay,
works.
so I'm asking if there are any abutters on the call who have any comments and wish to be heard. Okay, and all right, seeing none. We're looking for a motion to approve with the special conditions for nourishment. Have you reviewed the special conditions for nourishment? I believe Alex has given you a copy prior to the meeting. Alex?
Yeah,
You
I'll
wanna
just
jump
mention
in?
that I picked and pulled from our special conditions for revetments. And I pulled conditions from there that I thought would be appropriate for a nourishment only project.
Couple of quick thoughts. So condition number 10, approve plans and supporting documents, all plans of docks, piers, and walkways designed by a professional engineer. I mean, I don't, I mean, this is include, so you just, I don't know if do you just want to change the language or if any of that is truly applicable.
Yeah, I think that we just need to change that to all plans for this project shall be designed and stamped by, which we have I think already from you.
Yep. I think the one that I provided, I'm a professional engineer, so and then construction period DEP sign, condition 13. I don't
Mhm.
know if you guys would like the DEP sign up for the actual beach nourishment. I'm assuming that's a fairly quick process if you need that, or if you don't need it. I'll leave that up to you
Mhm.
guys.
Alex, what's your thought there?
I'll keep it in there. That's somewhat covered in our staging permit. So when we issue that staging permit to the contractors who are doing the nourishment, they have a form that they also display in the field that has the DEP numbers and the addresses and the total cubic feet for each property.
Yeah,
So perhaps
that's
I could switch DEP sign condition out for perhaps our staging permit condition.
I really don't think it's a big deal. If it's going to happen every year, we're going to buy one sign, we're going to put it up at the beginning of the project, take it down, and we use it for the next year. So, pre-construction meeting, I don't know if that's typical for this or not. It sounds like it, especially with this the access through the beach, and then condition 18, as we discussed. And it sounds like you guys are okay with, so we went from elevation 0 to the top of the revetment, not to the top of the coastal bank. And then 19, it will have the, I don't know if you want to put in there that so the certificate of compliance will have an ongoing, I don't know if you want to put in the order of conditions that the certificate of compliance will have an ongoing condition to nourish. So.
No, that'll come along at the time of the certificate of compliance.
Okay.
And I just want to see if for the nourishment requirement, do we have the actual amount of nourishment included in the order of condition here, or does that match with what we have in the submission?
It was left blank. It's in the
Mhm.
submission as well as on the plan.
So I think that should be in the order of conditions because that will make it easier to follow up with.
As opposed to the equation, I would tend to agree.
Yeah, I'll just mention when we do finalize this draft, we'll plug in the actual nourishment amount in that condition.
Great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think that seems reasonable. Any comments, additional comments from the commission? So if we could have a motion to approve this with the special conditions as discussed.
So
Move to approve with special conditions as stated.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Cinnamon,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a great night. I'm going to stay on to watch the next hearing as well.
Okay, so next up is the notice of intent filed by the Scott Family Trust. Applicant proposes to reduce annual sand nourishment requirements of property located at 31 Bayberry Lane, map 13, parcel 157. And who is here to speak to this?
Sure. Good evening. Again, Dan Ojala. I'm a surveyor and also a civil engineer with Down Cape Engineering in Yarmouthport, and helping the family out here with a property that's just north of the ones you guys were looking at. It's a very similar situation. I was looking at the, there's a pretty neat application. If you Google Landsat a time lapse, you can look at the Cape's spits and erosion, Sandy Neck and the Dennis. This area seems pretty stable. You can see a little bit of back and forth, but this is, getting a westerly view. If you get a big storm, obviously you can get a big fetch across the bay and really rack that bank. I think that the erosion would be better described as sudden rather than a long-term. That tends to be what happens in the bay side. You get a big storm and you get a big chunk taken out, and then you average that out over a number of years. If you take a look at this one, there's a bank shown on the 1941 plan, and then you look at where it is today. In the 85 years, it's moved, about 24 feet or so. So that'd be about 0.6 per year. But again, I think most of that is in big chunks. But nonetheless, that's not a bad figure. As Chuck had mentioned on the last one, that pretty much matches the long-term erosion rate. It's actually probably how they came up with it. But we're putting in almost twice as much sand as that number would equate to. And as such, there's kind of a lump on the front of our property, and the beach is pushed out. The mean high water is, even in the last, since 2012, gone out about 40 feet or so. And they're having trouble, honestly, finding a place to put the sand. They don't want to have a mountain in front of their property. You can see from the photographs that we've put in there. You've got the coastal erosion viewer there. The short-term rates are minus a foot plus or minus 2 feet. So it really could accrete a foot in any given year, averaging, maybe just a little bit under 6 inches or so a year. But if you look at the photographs, you can see that the beach is very healthy. The bottom of the stairs is completely buried. The plants have sprung up. There's an excess of sand in our area. Every year we bring more, it piles up higher, and we feel that it is pushing out a little bit into the bay. There's some sensitive resource areas out there, some salt marsh type plants. We don't want to smother those. So I think, you guys have the option, and obviously you can, keep an eye on it, but we would propose cutting the rate in half and going 3 years and see how we do. If it calls for reducing more, we'll come back. If you guys feel that we should bump it up again, we can certainly do that. But it's a pretty quiet section of beach in terms of transport up and down, because it's the prevailing winds are directly onshore, so you haven't got a lot of littoral drift one way or the other. I think depending on where the storm comes from is where you get a little bit of movement. The rocks are well buried. There's a bunch of sand on top, and every year it goes a little higher. We think it would be just reasonable to reduce it as requested. Be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Okay, so as we've stated earlier, we were out there at the site today, and the revetment is well buried and somewhat challenging to locate when we're out on the site. It did look like quite a stable bank at this point, with good vegetation, but I am concerned that the filing you've given us is quite a bit about the owners feel that, and we think that, and you've come up with a 26 cubic yards per year amount of sand nourishment without providing any calculations or any specific reasons to support that number. And then just looking at the letter you have from Down Cape Engineering here, that doesn't actually speak to the nourishment amount or any accretion. And I think you're lacking enough data for us to make a decision that we can justify it in an order of condition.
Well, again, it's not particularly complicated. If you look at the old order, there's a sand nourishment instead of Felco. This one was done by East Cape Engineering, Tim Brady, and they proposed, as your normal rate with a foot of accretion per year. The 56 yards, we're simply requesting to cut it in half because it appears to us that the erosion rate is half of that. It's just as simple as that. If you'd like some more data, we can do it. We did the short-term coastal erosion. We can do the long-term. We could, do more topo, but bottom line is, there's a big pile of sand there, and they just have trouble putting that much every year. And it's an honest request by the owners to say, geez, we don't know where to put this sand. And, in coastal geology, you can do a lot of math and numbers, but it really comes down to a gut feel. And the owners, I think, have developed a pretty good gut feel that it's quite a bit more sand that needs to be there.
Right. And I understand that, but we can't act on the owner's gut feel. We use the CCM formula, and we use data for this. And I am not opposed to reducing the nourishment here.
Yeah.
I just need the data that we can have, that we can support it and put it in the order of conditions, so that when somebody else also looks at it later on, they understand what we've done here and the whys. And I don't think you've provided enough there for us to be able to do that.
Sure. Well, we can certainly continue the hearing and give you the arithmetic that backs it up, but it's basically just the length of the revetment times the depth times the erosion rate, your regular formula, and it's
Mhm.
half of that because it appears that it's quite excess over the last, dozen of years or so. But I'll be glad to provide that information.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to see if anybody else on the commission has any questions, comments here. Greg?
No, I just wanted to say that I agree with you that, that we more information would be very, very useful at this point in order to be able to figure it out. I'm not adverse to reducing the amount, but I just need to have some scientific basis to do that. That'd be very helpful.
Be happy to provide it. Sure.
Okay. Anybody else from the commission? Are there any abutters at the meeting who would like to be heard? Okay, seeing none. When would you like to continue this to? Our next meeting is April 14th, and the one after that is April 28th.
The 28th, it sounds like would be a little better for us if possible.
Okay, so if we might have a motion to continue this. Oh, Alex?
Just for the record, we're also waiting on the DEP number for this filing.
Okay, we should probably have that by the 28th as well.
Yeah, I would suspect so.
Okay. Okay, so if we could have a motion to continue this to April 28th.
Move to continue to April 28th.
And is there a second?
Second.
Greg?
Yeah.
Mike?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you, and we'll see you then. Appreciate it.
Okay. Next up, we have a notice of intent filed by Kristen and Stephen Soriano. Applicant proposes construction of a single-family dwelling, IA septic system, utilities, driveway construction, and grading at property located at 285 Herringbrook Road, map 17, parcel 485. And who's here to speak on this? Do we have somebody here to speak on this from Ryder and Wilcox? Alex, you see anybody?
I do not.
Okay, so why don't we're moving very fast tonight. So
Oh, Karen.
could you unmute?
I'm the property owner. Hi, I'm Kristen Soriano.
Hi.
I believe Stephanie from Ryder and Wilcox is here as well. I'm happy to speak on anything I'm able to speak on.
Okay, but I think we also need Stephanie, and I don't see her on the call. No, I do not see her.
There is somebody trying to connect to audio, Jack, but that's not Stephanie.
No. How about we just hold this off, work down the agenda, see if she comes, and then come back to it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So next up is the continuation of notice of intent filed by Town of Eastham. Applicant proposes to construct a municipal wastewater system for the Nauset Estuary watershed entitled Phase 1, which will include approximately 16 miles of gravity and pressure sewer mains, 4 pump stations, and service connections to each parcel to be served by the system. The property is located at 2475 State Highway to 5270 State Highway. And Jackie, welcome.
Everyone. I guess I'll give you a brief overview. So I'm Jackie. I'm the licensed engineer working on behalf of the town of Eastham on their wastewater project. So this filing is just for the sewer collection system. The plant at the DPW is exempt because it was, I believe, around 1,000 feet away from the nearest wetland area. So this NOI is just for the collection system. It's for the construction based on the town's special town meeting last June, where they voted to proceed. So the collection system itself, we submitted the entire map for the whole collection system. So that consists of approximately 16 miles of low pressure gravity and force main piping within town right of ways. Also 4 pump stations on 3 town-owned parcels and 1 getting an easement. And then the third kind of component is from those force mains, all still within the right of way, just sewer laterals to each parcel within that phase 1 zone, and there are approximately 800 parcels. So the project as a whole, we have temporary impacts to the 100-foot wetland buffer zones and the estimated habitats of rare wildlife species. We did receive the MISA exemption because the piping is within existing right of ways on paved or dirt roads, and there are no permanent alterations to the existing conditions. So again, the project as a whole, we are looking at our standard construction details, similar to what we did for the water project, where catch basins will have silt sacks for protection. We'll have any dewatering of trenches with silt bags to reduce sediment. Just our typical materials management. We're not stockpiling anything on site. We have site restoration, loam and seed, and then in the areas that are subject to these resource areas, we will add the filter sock for sedimentation control. And then I guess just to give another kind of detailed, I'm mentioning the 16 miles of sewer main, so that's a little over 84,000 miles of pipe. And we provided the whole map and the resource areas, but about 1,100 feet of that 84,000 is within the 100-foot buffers in the roadway in 4 areas. So it's on Route 6 where it goes by Salt Pond, also on Route 6 where it goes by Red Barn, Duck Marsh Lane, and Fairview Ave off of Bayview. And then in terms of the NESHAP conservation areas, it's anywhere on Fairview Ave and Shipman. So right where we're basically putting sewer services up near Malls Pond and Minister's Pond. And then the 4 pump stations, none of them are located within any resource areas, but the pump station at 2815 State Highway is across from Salt Pond. It's on the same parcel as a 100-foot wetland buffer. And then the elementary school pump station is technically nearby Malls Pond, not within the area, but just nearby. So I want to provide that on the map as well.
Yeah, so the pump station near the elementary school is, I believe, also near another small shrub swamp or shallow marsh wetland as well.
Right. Yep. Near Minister's Pond.
Okay. So we were out for a site visit with you yesterday afternoon, and from that arose a few questions, including we had asked for site plans and details on the pumping stations. And Alex told me right before the meeting that he had received them, but we have not yet been able. They've not been distributed to the commission, and we did not have time to review them before this meeting. So we're going to need to be able to have time to do that. So tonight I thought we'd get through some of our other questions, and then we'll come back to those at a later time. I'm going to start with myself and then open it to the rest of the commission. So we asked a few questions yesterday, and we're going to get into that today. I am less concerned, I think, with the installation of the pipes, though I do have some questions about pipe depth and things. But I think the questions that weren't covered in the notice of intent application were how the system's monitored for leaks and how you will respond, especially with the low pressure system pipes, if there are leaks and if there are failures. And also the same for if there's a failure of the pump station or the pump station generator, how long it would take for the storage tank to overflow and have problems, and how these things might affect the nearby wetlands. So if you could get into what the monitoring is, also if there are frost heaves and things because of the depth at which some of these are buried, how might that affect system integrity and impact any nearby wetlands?
Certainly, yeah. Let me know if I missed anything that you went through. So in terms
I know
of
I
the
was quick.
frost heave, frost heave. So the low pressure sewer main is 5 feet of cover, so it can be below the frost line, and that piping is PVC, designed for a 100-year lifespan. In terms of the monitoring, so the way all of this basically works is you have low pressure systems feeding into gravity, which ultimately feed into the pump stations. And at each low pressure main, or if a home is below the road elevation, they need a grinder pump to pump the water up to the main. So those grinder pumps typically hold 72 hours of storage in case there's a power outage. And then the pump stations themselves are hooked into sensors, and they're all part of SCADA, so supervisory control and data acquisition systems, which are standard with wastewater and water systems, where they have all the alarms connected to the pumps, and that's being monitored 24/7, just automated based on certain levels. And then the town will have their operator that's monitoring the system. So in terms of the pump stations, for redundancy, those are designed so it's a concrete wet well vault with epoxy coating. If you lose power, there's either generators or portable generators that the contractor will bring by. But we also designed it so it would have 2 pumps, one standby in case something happens to the first pump. And then as part of the operation contracts and sewer system regulations, the town will have an emergency contractor on call, an operator on call to respond to any alarms at the pump stations. And that's also connected, and all the pump stations are connected through fiber and radio SCADA to the treatment plant, so they can monitor it there as well. And in terms of storage, there's not too much storage. It's more of a couple 100 gallons in the wet well vault of the pump station. Because it's really being controlled by the pump, and to limit the size, which will be caught by the alarms. Trying to think if I missed any of your other questions, not actually answering them.
Well, I can come back to them. So I think some of these questions are informed by the fact that we just had the blizzard of 26 and the town had a prolonged power outage. The whole region did, which was longer than 72 hours for most homes, and access down roads was heavily curtailed because of the number of trees down. So looking at the worst case scenario, so another blizzard or a hurricane or nor'easter coming through where the power outage is out for longer than 72 hours, what's the plan there?
So long, you mean in terms of the grinder pumps? I think it would I think it'd be written into the regulations that there has to be backup generators for them, but there is storage within the pipe. And I would think in emergency situations too, there would be access to the pump stations to have that portable, either standard generators there. I think the town's looking at the portable generators. I know based on this past storm, the water system didn't lose or lost power, but with all of the generators, they got it back up quickly, or, working with DPW to plow out to the tanks. And it wasn't an issue during this past storm.
Okay, but you can obviously see that there'd be more of an issue with sewage than with potable water. um, as a concern. And then just looking at the depth to which the low pressure pipes are buried, that is based on an average freeze temperature or freeze depth for the region.
Yep, historical on the Cape. Correct.
Okay, but we have had colder winters with longer periods of freezing in recent years. So how is that or climate change influence included in your calculations?
Well, it would also be on the material specifications of the pipe, and one of the reasons we went with PVC to be able to withstand temperature differences.
Is that saying yes, it's considered in the planning and the materials, so the tolerances are beyond what the average would be calculated for?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I mean, we're being conservative with the 5 foot of cover. I know we have the water system at 4.5 feet also, and that was based off of typically most of Massachusetts is 5 feet because it doesn't get that deep. The frost doesn't get that deep.
Okay, just noting we've had
I can look at maximums. I can research maximums too.
Okay, I would appreciate that. Okay, I think that's me for now. I might come back. I'm going to open it up to the rest of the commission and also Alex for questions. Greg?
I had a quick question. For those folks that have those grinder pumps, my understanding is they're below the level of the main pipeline, then they have to pump up. Is that true with the grinder pumps?
Yeah, so it'd be 2 different conditions. If there's low pressure sewer main on that roadway, then it will automatically need a grinder pump just because even just getting the sewage on that roadway needs to be pumped by all the grinder pumps. But if your parcel is on next to a gravity main, but like the house is a lot lower than the road, then you would need a grinder pump to pump it up to the gravity main that would just flow by gravity to the pump station.
Is there any scenario possible where if there was a failure, electrical or pipe failure, that the material could backflush into the homeowner? I'm just curious. I mean, is that a possibility? If, for example, they had a grinder pump failure or something, or is there a system in place that prevents that from happening? Because they're at the low end of the line.
Oh, that the actual like the entire sewer main would go into someone's house?
You're saying it's under pressure, right? Is that? I mean,
right. Or basically the pumps are pressurizing the main to push it up further uphill.
So if for example the grinder pump system were to fail, there's no way for something that's at a higher elevation to backflush into the house.
If it's higher, right? I mean, there are standard valving configurations in the grinder pump setup, but I suppose if one of them were to break, could technically go into the house.
Okay. Thanks.
Anybody else? Mike?
Yeah, I had a question about the pump station that's right next to the transfer station. I'll credit Greg with this. Actually, he pointed out, and it was hard for us. And again, I'm interested in looking at the site design for that particular pump station. But you've got an area that you're going to put a pump station that's in ground, that one is right next to a years old landfill with and who knows what's in the dirt and what's in the ground at that point and how stable that ground is. And then the second is whether or not there are toxins in that area that could potentially get into the pump station and could affect the sewage plant itself.
Yeah, that's a great point. So that transfer station site, so the pump station, I might have the number wrong off the top of my head, but we were looking at it's 300 feet from the landfill cap. And we did work with Mass DEP Solid Waste Region and submit a separate application for small modifications to the site. And part of that submission is we look at distance from the landfill cap, looking at the town already does their monitoring program for gases from the landfill, making sure that doesn't impact it. And then also we did submit like a hydrogeological report to Mass DEP that modeled all of the groundwater flow in that area, mounding from the treatment plant, the infiltration beds at the treatment plant site. And then just part of the normal monitoring, but we had to make sure that the wet well would not be sitting in groundwater permanently anyway, and wouldn't be at that depth where we weren't concerned about water intrusion into the concrete. Although we do also put in the design special epoxies on that concrete. And part of the design is looking at, buoyancy of the pump station itself and making sure it's not sitting in water.
Thank you.
Cinnamon, anything? Janet? No? Alex? Okay, so I'm going to ask now if there are any butters on the call who wish to be heard. Okay, I see none. Okay, so it looks like we're going to continue for you to gather a little more information and for us to look at the site plans and the pumping station details that you've provided. Would the April 14th meeting work for you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so if we could have a motion to continue this to April 14th.
Move to continue to April 14th.
And is there a second?
Second.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay, thank you, Jackie.
Yeah.
Okay, I noticed that Ryder and Wilcox has joined us, so we're going to go back to 285 Herringbrook Road. Notice of intent filed by Kristen and Steven Soriano. Applicant proposes construction of a single family dwelling, IA septic system, utilities, driveway construction, and grading at property located at 285 Herringbrook Road, map 17, parcel 485. And I believe that's Stephanie.
Yes, hi, Stephanie Sequin. Can you hear me okay?
If you could be a little bit louder, please.
Okay, I will try. I apologize. I lost my connection just as I was ready to start, so I'm just calling in. So I apologize for the delay. I'm representing Steve and Kristen Soriano, who are the owners of the property at 285 Herringbrook Road. It's a 33,000 square foot property, currently undeveloped, vacant site. There's a salt marsh to the west, and we also have land subject to coastal storm flowage, an A zone, elevation 13. The topography at the flood zone contour is between 4:1 and 10:1. So per DEP policy, the flood zone contour is the top of the coastal bank, and we are showing the 50 and 100 foot buffers to the top of the coastal bank. We also have the marsh area is within the Inner Cape Cod Bay ACEC. The boundary of the ACEC is the 10-foot contour. The applicant is proposing the construction of a 3-bedroom dwelling with an attached deck, a screen porch in the back, and the farmer's porch in the front. It will be a 2-story building with a walkout basement. It will include the installation of a septic system, utilities, and driveway construction. Those are all outside of the 100-foot buffer, and then proposed grading and landscaping. As it's positioned, we held the proposed building just at the 30-foot minimum setback from the road layout to maximize the distance to the resource area. The proposed building is approximately 80 feet from the top of the coastal bank. In this location, there's approximately 669 square feet of building, deck, and porch that are within your jurisdiction. The rest of the structure, and as I said, the septic system and proposed driveway are all outside of the 100-foot buffer. With this limit of work that we're showing, we're leaving a substantial part of the remaining part of the site will remain undeveloped, undisturbed. The proposed driveway will be constructed of pervious material, either stone or shell. The proposed septic system complies with all Title V and Eastham Board of Health regulations. It will include a microfast treatment system, which is a DEP-approved IA system that provides nitrogen reduction. I've included some construction notes on the plan and the construction protocol in the narrative. We're showing a limit of work, holding it pretty close to the proposed structure. Fabric silt fence will be installed along the limit of work prior to construction and will remain in place until all disturbed areas have been revegetated. The dumpster will be placed outside of the 100-foot buffer and will include a lid or cover to prevent wind-blown debris. All excavated material will be stockpiled outside of the 100-foot buffer, and any excess will be removed from the site upon completion of backfilling. Gutters and downspouts connected to dry wells or crushed stone at the roof drip line will be used to contain roof runoff from the proposed building. And upon completion of the construction, the disturbed areas within the buffer will be stabilized and loamed and seeded with a drought-tolerant native grass mix. I think that's all I've got to offer on that, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. I'm going to turn it over to Greg to review our site visit this morning, but before I do that, I just want to note that there's a priority habitat for rare species that also intersects on this property, and it would be good to have that added to the site plan.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'm going to ask Greg to review site conditions. We were out there at the site this morning.
Yep, the commission visited the site this morning, and as you mentioned, it abuts a marsh, and that some proportion of the home is set within the 100-foot zone. And I think one question I did have is if it's not if the lot is a new built lot, how come there's a well there? I'm just curious. Why is there a well being abandoned on the property?
I am not sure of the history of that existing well or how long it's been there.
Mm-hmm.
But the plan is to connect to town water now that it is available. It may have been, as part of a purchase and sale agreement. Someone wanted to verify that they were able to get potable water here before and I'm talking maybe years ago.
Mm-hmm. So that's going to be abandoned.
I don't know the history of that existing well.
Yeah. One of the questions that we had was that obviously there's going to be some amount of tree removal in order to build, build parts of the house, especially the ones that are on the 100-foot zone. I was wondering, have you put together a landscape plan or have some idea of mitigation for the trees that you're going to remove within that zone?
Yeah, we have not. I did mention to the contractor that I fully expected a mitigation or at least a planting plan would be required. I did check on, we don't have a file number, so this is going to have to be continued. So that's certainly something that we can work on getting back into you before the next meeting. I was out at the property earlier today and tried to the best of my ability, count the number of trees within the work limit and the 100-foot buffer. I came up with 10 trees plus 2 that are dead, a very big pine and a pretty substantial oak that are just completely dead. So I don't know if you count those or not. So either 10 or 12 trees within the work limit and the 100-foot buffer that will have to be removed. It is, very well vegetated site, so I think it would be difficult to replace, one-to-one tree replacement for what's going to be removed. I was thinking perhaps we could fit maybe 12 to 18 shrubs within the work limit, or maybe even somewhere closer to the wetland than the work limit. And because there are, a good amount of pines and oaks there, there's not really much in the way of ground cover. So maybe, doing some shrubs in around the existing trees would be sort of a halfway point.
So I think pretty much one thing that would be useful would be if we had that plan at the next meeting. It would be very useful for us.
Okay.
And do you think it would be possible to at least mark the trees that you're going to cut within the 100-foot zone?
Sure.
And another question is, did you have any plans to do additional tree removal beyond the 100-foot, beyond the area of work that you have outlined in your plan? For example, toward the march.
Yeah, not at this point. I think it would be more advantageous to maybe at least get the house framed so that you can have a better idea of where any view might be. Is that what you're getting at, like vista planning? Or yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we have not identified a view corridor at this point.
Okay. So if we could get a plan, then that would be very helpful to us, I think.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other commissioners' questions? Okay, I just have a couple. So, okay, so we got marked. So I was wondering if you were considering a pathway from the house to the marsh, or is that something that you'd come back for later as well?
I think we'd have to come back for that later.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like we're looking to get from you a count of the trees that are coming out and have them marked and a mitigation plan for that. And I think it should include you're taking out canopy trees around the house, and even if there's a lot of vegetation between the house and the marsh, that you are removing a lot of trees on that upper part of the property, that there should be room for at least a couple of canopy trees in addition to shrubs. And I'd like to see you try to work that into the plan.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're clear on what you need to do. And the only question is, would you like it to come back at the April 14th meeting or the April 28th meeting?
I would like to come back on the 14th.
14th, okay. Okay, and before I ask for a motion for that, I am forgetting to ask if there are any abutters on the call who might like to ask any questions or make any comments. Okay, I see nobody. So if somebody would make a motion to continue this to April 14th.
Move to continue to April 14th.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second,
Okay. Janet,
Yes.
Greg,
yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, thank you, Stephanie.
All right, thank you all very much. We'll see you on the 14th. Good night.
Good night. Okay, and next up is the continuation of notice of intent filed by Diego Babaloni. Applicant proposes septic upgrade, water line installation, home remodel, construction of new screen porch, and landscaping at property located at 675 North Sunken Meadow Road, map 01, parcel 043. And that would be Jason.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
For the record, Jason Ellis representing the Pristine Cape Cod Homes Incorporated. So from the last meeting, several of the commissioners had some questions about the landscaping that would occur on the property. Actually, after I had submitted the revised narrative and the revised plan last week, in the discussion with the owner, what he would like to do is he would like to remove the brick walkways and brick patios that exist and wants to replace them in the exact footprint with a pervious paver, concrete paver material. There wouldn't be any increase in square footage. It would just be within the same footprint of the walkways and the patios that exist there. The concrete pavers will be set in clean beach sand, so there wouldn't be any hardener or any impervious material placed between the pavers. So it would actually create a lot more drainage than the situation exists there today. It's just regular bricks that are laid in stone dust that are there today. So the stone dust would be taken out, replaced with clean sand. I've added several dry wells to the plan. There's 2 on each side of the house that would pick up the gutters with some downspouts that would contain that drainage off the roof. There are a couple of invasive shrubs that are planted around the perimeter of the perimeter of the house, some huckleberries and a couple of burning bushes, which would be removed, and those would be replaced with likely a bayberry, something that's native to that area. And if I remember, I think that was all the questions that you might have had.
I think that's correct. So the pavers are basically a 1-to-1 replacement for the brick walkway.
Correct.
The same underlaying stand material, but better drainage.
Correct.
Okay. I don't have any questions. Does anybody else on the commission have questions, or Alex? Greg?
I just wanted to thank Jason for being so responsive. This is what we asked for last week, and it's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, Alex?
I was just going to ask that when we get the final plan, can it note that we're going to be going with the pervious pavement instead of the brick pavers?
Absolutely. Definitely.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions from abutters? Okay. So, if we could have a motion, Jason, you could submit a final plan with that change
Yep.
to Alex right after by the end of the week, maybe, or
Definitely.
so,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we could have a motion to approve with the special conditions for single family dwellings with landscaping and the updated plan as noted to be delivered to the conservation office by the end of the week.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, we're done with that. And next up, we have a continuation of notice of intent filed by David Milliken. Applicant proposes to construct a new house and appurtenances at property located at 95 Windjammer Lane, map 19, parcel 066. Jason again.
But I think everyone was able to go out to the site today finally. We
Yes.
finally got the site clear of all the snow and everything. You can see that the site is basically it's basically a lawn. There's a lot of there's a lot of cedars around the perimeter of the property. But the house will be centered in the property, and there are a couple of trees that are going to be within the footprint of the house. I think there was 3 large pine trees and I think 1 oak tree. There are a couple of spruce trees that would be relocated to other parts of the property. And there's a cedar tree within the envelope of where the leach field would go. He's going to relocate that tree also. He's going to come in with a tree spade and have those trees the trees that can be relocated out of where the construction would occur will be relocated around the perimeter of the property, so that they can continue to grow. I've added some dry wells to the plan. The big question was I did have a conversation with the building inspector about the height of the building. And he confirmed that the first floor has to be 2 feet above flood stage in this flood zone.
I don't think that's correct. This is a coastal A zone. And the building code says base elevation +3.
I think the coastal A zone is actually in the marsh on the side. So we looked at that, but we can look at that again. The mapping really doesn't call for the newer zones that they're looking to do with the new coastal resilience. So I guess the way it's written right now, it has the first floor level has to be 2 feet above the A zone, but they have a coastal A zone which falls into a lot of the categories that a V zone falls into. So it has a lot of the same characteristics as the V zone. So this isn't actually a V zone. You have the V zone, which is just open waves, which would be on the beach. And then you have the coastal A zone, which would be in the marsh, where you don't really have, like, it would be on the landward side of the bridge of that side of the marsh, where you don't get the wave flow from the bay. You can get a standing wave in there, but you don't get the rolling waves like you would do in a typical V zone. And that would be in the coastal A zone. And then you have A zones that come off of the coastal A zone, which is where this one falls.
This does appear to be part of and a continuation of the AE flood zone coastal land subject to coastal storm flowage. That it's not a separate flood zone. It is a continuation of that AE flood zone. So
Yeah.
It should be a coastal A zone.
So that's a building code thing.
Right, but it's also a concern for us how the floodwaters affect the property and how the building handles that and how they redirect them.
Yeah. I had this conversation with the building inspector, and we looked over the code, and this is what he came up with was the 14 feet. So I can approach that with him again. But
I would strongly disagree with his assessment of that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going by what the building commissioner told me. So, and he confirmed with me what I found. So, there's some discrepancies in the regulations that because they're transitioning the regulations over into new categories and new requirements. So it's a little confusing, but
Right. And I thought those were fully adopted by the end of December of 2025.
Yeah.
So I'm a little confused why there's a confusion, that we say.
the mapping hasn't caught up with the regulations yet. So
Right. But looking at the flood zones through FEMA and through the Mass Mapper, it's very clear that this is one flood zone that continues out from the coast to this location. So,
but if you look in the marsh, the A zone is hatched, and it's not hatched in this area. So in the hatched areas where it takes on the V zone characteristic, and in this area where it's in on the land and it's not subject to wave action, it falls under the regular A categories, which is the 2-foot separation. So
I'm going to have to go. I'll go as well.
Okay.
And so we also had some questions just about degrading, because originally you said you were going to grade it so the floodwaters go away from the house.
yeah, Mr. Milliken decided he was going to forego the full foundation under the house. So the house is actually going to be constructed on a it'll have a contiguous footing underground, just like a regular typical foundation will have, and then it'll have concrete piles that come out of that contiguous footing. So it'll actually be on a concrete pile foundation, so it won't have a full foundation under it, except for the small section that shows crawl space. It's about a 20 by 20 area on the back side of the house that's outside the flood zone.
Okay.
And then the garage would be on a slab. So the main body of the house is going to be on a concrete pile foundation with a contiguous footing. And what he would like to do is build a retaining wall out of interlocking block that goes around the front of the house, that would be filled behind it up to a level about a foot or two below the where the top of foundation would be. And then the rest of the grade around the outside of that retaining wall would remain the same as it is today. So we wouldn't be doing all that regrading and all that filling that we had originally proposed on there. So there'd be a retaining wall around the front of the house that would give the upper part of the house the appearance of being on a flat lot. So
So that would redirect any floodwaters as well, and
yeah, and it would be contained. It would deflect the floodwaters away from the house.
And where would they go?
Well, I mean, you don't have to account for any compensatory flood storage when it's land subject to coastal storm flowage, because the ocean's so vast. So the floodwater, it wouldn't impact the house site as much as it would if we were to do a full foundation there. So,
well, that's coming back to whether it's a coastal A zone or not, because if you're saying you don't have to do compensatory storage for land subject to coastal storm flowage, that again comes back to it being a coastal A zone.
Well, it is an A zone, but it's not a coastal A zone because it doesn't have the V zone characteristics. So they have a coastal A zone that basically it kind of connects the A zone with a V zone. It's like an intermediary zone where you don't have the intense wave action that you would say on Harm's Way, but you still have lands. It's still land subject to coastal storm flowage. You just don't have the wave action like you would.
Right, but A zones typically don't have that, or AE zones typically don't have that wave action in any case.
Well, they do.
So
if you look at the areas like around, like out in the marsh by the bridge, you're still gonna get wave action out there, and that's still an A zone out there. It's not a V zone. So that's the kind of area that coastal A zone would qualify. So
Okay, so we're going to have to come back to that conversation, and there's other things that we need information here. So I think we're going to be continuing anyway. But I appreciate the discussion, and we'll get. I'll go look some stuff up, and you'll go have a conversation, and we'll come back to it.
okay.
And then it's the landscaping plan here that is confusing to us, because first of all, it's hard to tell in this what is coming out and what's staying, and nothing was marked out on the site in terms of tree removals, and we don't have a count there. So it was very hard to figure out what was coming out, how many cedars are coming out, because I assume the cedars are the things that look a bit like the sea urchins here. Yeah. And then pitch pines and spruces kind of look the same, but different sizes on here. So it was hard to figure out what was coming out. And it also looks like you're proposing mitigation, but without any canopy trees, even though you're removing a whole bunch of trees here. You're not replacing trees with trees. You're replacing trees with shrubs and with grasses.
Okay, so we can add some canopy trees. We can tidy that up for you. So.
Okay, so we need to have the trees that are removed being marked. We need a tree count for what is being removed, and it would be helpful if there was a separate page that would have the landscaping plan for what is being proposed.
Okay.
Okay, and I think that's me for now, and let me open it up to the rest of the commission. Greg, you want to go first?
I was curious. So what's the survival rate on a transplanted cedar tree? Is it very high?
Yeah, it's relatively high as long as you get enough of a root ball out of it. They have a Bartlett. When I had bought a piece of property in Eastham about 20 years ago, and Bartlett actually bought about 30 cedar trees off of it from me, and they were all 20 feet or 25 feet in height or more. And they moved them to a project they were working on in Chatham. But they have a huge tree spade that they come in, and they take about a 8 to 10 foot diameter around the tree out. And then they just plunk it right in the same size hole over at the job site, and they just right in there. And it as far as I know, the success rate with that is pretty high. So.
Okay. That's the only question I had.
Okay. Janet?
I had a concern similar to the one you stated about all the trees coming out, but only shrubs going in, no canopy trees going in. And if you have someone like Bartlett move it, it might be different, but the success rate with moving cedars is not as great from what I've experienced. So you already had said that you would mark the trees and give us a separate sheet listing the trees that are going to be taken out.
Yeah, maybe it would be helpful if I break out an existing plant and tree plan, and then give you a proposed plan on a separate page. So
yes.
You can see what's existing and what's going to come out. And
that sounds good.
What would it look like before and what would it look like after?
Okay.
That might be helpful for you.
Yes, thank you.
And I think we'd still like a actual count as well.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So when would you like to continue this to?
Was it the 14th?
14th?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, that's going to be a long meeting. Can we have a motion to continue this to April 14th?
Move to continue to April 14th.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Greg?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And I'm going to suggest that we've been going on for a while, that we take a 5-minute recess at this point. Okay, so we are back from our recess, and our next item is a continuation of notice of intent filed by Mark and Catherine Seeger. Applicant proposes to reconstruct a new dwelling to replace existing dwelling with native plantings and restoration activities at property located at 165 Harms Way, map 01, parcel 103. And anybody here to speak to that? John O'Reilly? Alex?
I'm here along with Teresa Sprague. I'm Peter Haig, architect.
Peter. Okay,
And Teresa
Oh, that's-
is on board.
that's right.
this
John was
evening-
not going to be here tonight,
Yeah.
if I remember.
So-
Okay,
We will do our best. I
I'm
believe
sure that'll be
Teresa is
fine.
Planning to start.
Okay. So if you could identify yourself for the record, and we're ready to go.
Teresa?
Teresa?
I'm sorry, Peter. I wasn't aware that John O'Reilly was not going to be here this evening. Teresa Sprague with Blue Flex Design here on behalf of Mark and Kathy Seeger for 165 Harms Way. This is a continuation. We were last heard on February 24th. The commission had requested some revisions be made to the project, mainly that the proposed sand driveway and parking area be redesigned so that vehicles would not be parking underneath the house. And John O'Reilly has updated his site plan to show that, and we accordingly have updated our proposed mitigation and planting plan to show the same changes. Peter, if you would please forgive me, I was not aware that John wasn't going to be here this evening. So if you could please remind me of
Yeah, the second issue of three was the tank. The propane tank is located on the updated plan. Yeah, and as per the drawing that you have. And I also wanted to speak about, there was a question about the spacing of the decking that I wanted to weigh in on. You had requested a wider spacing of decking and wanted us to comment on it. I spent some time researching it from the point of view of what does the manufacturer allow their product to be placed, and how far apart will they be allowed them to place it. Their goal is Seegers would like to use 5/4 by 6 Ipe decking. Very familiar. You all know what it is. And we were looking to see if what would they say in terms of, and what would they essentially stand behind product wise if we were to try to spread it out. What they told me is their preference is to place it at 1/8 of an inch spacing is what they want, but they can tolerate up to 1/4 of an inch. And if you can sort of see, if you look at my screen here, essentially they're like an 8-penny nail apart normally. And what our proposal is to put it at 1/4 inch apart, which allows, which is sort of protects young children, toes and chairs and tripping. And that's the maximum that they recommend. And if we go beyond that, we open ourselves up to liability, which we didn't intend to incur. I also checked out went through the Massachusetts Building Code, see what it has to say. And now these days we kind of end up asking AI, what does the Massachusetts Building Code say about that now? The all-knowing And so anyway, they follow the same guidelines, 1/8 maximum recommended spacing. It can be extended, they say, to 3/32 of an inch. And beyond that, that's not what the product is intended to do. So that's what we would like to propose.
Okay, so you're proposing a quarter or 3?
Quarter
A quarter inch.
spacing,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, you just got to be careful with that AI. I find they hallucinate regulations sometimes. And it
They
depends
can.
which one you use,
They
but
can.
I appreciate that you went and checked and followed up on that. And yeah.
Okay. I think that was the extent of what you asked for. John made a list and gave us instructions on what to cover. Right.
Right. And I do want to thank you for following up so well on everything that we had asked for changes or additional information on. So thank you for that. We were out at the site today, just having another look, and there was some question raised about, I'm going to ask, I think, Cinnamon maybe to address this. There was some question, or Greg, some question raised about the location of one of the deck stakes.
One
Cinnamon?
of the deck stakes, if you're looking out at the house, would be on the right. It still doesn't look like it's lining up correctly, that if you ran straight across, it would be cutting through the dune. So, or it would be going at a diagonal, matching up with the stake on the left side of the house. So could we just get that fixed so it's running the straight line as indicated on the plan?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, Cinnamon, was there anything else?
Just, we did have one question. You're going to be nourishing under the home on the bigger dune, right? Like where it's scoured out a little bit. And then those stairs that are going to nowhere are going to be removed, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And then I wanted to come back to the NHESP plan. They required, among other things, a turtle protection plan to be submitted. And obviously we haven't seen that yet, but we would like to make sure that before any work starts, that a copy of that goes to Alex, our conservation agent, for his review and approval.
Absolutely.
And
We've created many turtle protection plans out on Harm's Way for you. So we will absolutely get that to NHESP and Alex. Yes.
Okay, so we don't actually need to have it at this point, just before a couple of days, at least before the on-site meeting, before any work starts, and we can write that into the order as well.
Okay.
Okay, and I think that is all I have. Let me see if anybody else on the commission has anything else. Greg?
Nope, I don't have anything at this time.
Mike? Janet, anything from you?
The piping plovers and the northern diamondback terrapin, do we have to make some comment about that? That's construction would have to be limited or to certain times or avoided at certain times?
Right, so that will be including the time of year restrictions from NHESP in the order of conditions.
Okay.
And I believe they have June 1st. They've changed it, so now it's June 1st to October 15th, which is a little bit longer on each end than it used to be. But yeah.
Yep.
And I think that was the limit. That was the limit of basically their comments, was the time of year and the turtle protection plan. Is that's what you think as well, Teresa?
Yes, so in the past, we've done a turtle protection plan where we put in turtle fencing prior to the start of season and then done turtle sweeps with a barrier to make sure that the turtles can't get into the area. And then regular sweeps throughout while construction's happening. So we'll put all of that together in the plan and of course, send that to both you and NHESP for their approval.
Right. And then we're looking for concerns about hatchlings later on in the season.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What we don't want are turtles getting into the area and nesting into the area where construction, it could potentially be happening. So we'll bury silt fence, make sure that they're not getting into that area.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So just going to ask if there are any abutters who have any comments Okay, and not seeing any, I'm going to go to Alex, who has his hand up.
Now, we also discussed material storage under the dwelling. Is that right, Karen?
Yeah, well, I think that came clear in the version of the plans they submitted, that there's not anything to be stored under the dwelling, but
Correct.
and that also would be in the order of conditions.
Yep. Yes, no
Okay.
storage under the building, correct.
Okay, and we appreciate that as well, because that'll avoid a lot of mess later on during storms and things. Okay, and all right. So it looks like we're, have you looked at the draft special conditions for a single family dwelling with landscaping? Alex should have given them to you.
Yes, we did. Yep. So there's no comments on that, and of course, just the addition of the turtle protection plan for NHESP, I think would be the only thing that's added. I don't believe that was in the draft.
Right, and I'm not sure if the no storage under the house was in the draft, but
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
the storage condition was not included
Okay.
in the draft, so I would include that for the final.
okay. All right, so if we could have a motion to approve the project with the turtle protection plan to be submitted to the Conservation Department several days before the on-site meeting, with the addition of the time of year restrictions from NHESP and with the condition for no storage under the dwelling and the special conditions for single family dwelling with landscaping.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Cinnamon,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and I am a yes. And we are done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have
very
a good
much.
evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And then
Should we FaceTime?
there we go. I lose my agenda at least once a meeting. Okay, but here we go. Continuation of notice of intent filed by Stephen Wurst. Applicant proposes to replace existing concrete seawall with stone revetment at property located at 75 Cove Road, map 18, parcel 050A.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Brian E. Angus from Ty and Bond here on behalf of the Cedar Crest Association and also here with Dan Cheramickley from Ty and Bond. So last we left off, the commission requested that Brian McCormick from the extension conduct a site visit and provide an opinion. So that occurred, wow, it feels like ages ago because of the storm. So in February, I believe, and I know Dan was there and some members of the commission. Mr. McCormick subsequently issued a report, and we did not respond to it piece by piece because it was just a lot of concurrence. We did provide 2 points of clarification and then issued an updated set of drawings in response to his comments. And that's where we are. I'll let Dan take it from here just to explain the minor changes that occurred to the drawings.
Evening, commissioners. I just request a screen share, please.
I think Wayne probably has that set for you.
Okay. Awesome. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So we have made some, let's say,
Can you zoom?
It's
Can you
tiny.
zoom in a
No,
little,
no, we're
little
getting-
bit? It's it's tiny.
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So we had a few, I'd say, relatively minor changes. Since the report was issued in our last meeting, the first change was the height of the revetment was changed from 12 to 15 to be even with the 100-year floodplain. It was honestly just an oversight on my part. Brian brought it up in his report. I'm glad he did. I made the change on the plans here. So the revetment is extended from 12. It ended a little bit past that because there was a little bit of a crest, and now it's at 15 up here. You can see even with the 100-year flood line, which is this elevation, 15 right here. And then we tweaked the stair design a little bit. In previously, there was 2 steps up, and then it came over, and then the same amount coming down this side. So we just removed the additional steps there, and put a flat walkway in, to, I guess, just reduce the amount of steps, make it a little bit easier for everyone. No need to have arbitrary steps in there. And we just reworked the foundations a little bit spacing wise to make that work. And that's essentially it for changes. The revetment design itself, stone sizing, everything remains unchanged from the last go around. And that's it. So with that, I will open it up to questions from the commission.
Okay. So thank you for that. And I'm going to open it up to questions from the commission before I come back to myself. I think maybe if you drop the screen share, I can see everybody. Okay. So I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions or comments here, and I'll just ask, I'll ask each individually. Greg, anything?
I don't have any questions now.
Janet?
I just want to make sure that the revetment they want to put up is less than the 50 feet.
Is less than 50 feet? Yes.
Okay. Mike?
No questions, just a comment. Thank you very much for redoing the plans and listening to the outside expert. I found that evaluation very helpful, and it sounds like you all did too. So that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Cinnamon? Okay. And I'm going to say that I appreciate your taking this journey with us. I know I was a little challenging maybe during this process, but I appreciate having Brian McCormick's input, having your input, and I've come to the conclusion that this seems to be the lesser of impacts of possible solutions, and I think I'm ready to approve this project. So we did want to ask, I think, for some monitoring reports of salt marsh conditions. So I think we had talked about photos taken before any work starts, photos when they're done, and then an ongoing monitoring for at least 3 years of any in-kind replacement of salt marsh vegetation. Which
That's fine.
Yep, that's
okay.
fine.
And then we have our special conditions for revetments, which I think Alex has probably given to you for review.
Yep. Don't have any comments.
Yeah, we looked through those today.
Okay, and before I go on, I just want to check if there are any abutters at the meeting who want to add any last minute comments. Okay, and seeing none, if we could have a motion to approve the final plan as submitted. Yes, Janet?
Yes, I appreciate the work that you've done in the report by Brian. I would not have approved this if it was going to be longer than the 50 feet or longer, because according to our regulations, we wouldn't have had to. So the fact that you decided to have the revetment be less than 50 means that if we go according to our regulations, we have to approve it. So I'd like that to be in the minutes.
Okay, and it is because you just said it.
Thank you.
Okay, so if we could have a motion to approve this project with the final plan as submitted, with the monitoring reports and monitoring of in-kind salt marsh vegetation as discussed, and the special conditions for revetments.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Cinnamon?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay, and we are done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and that would be the end of our looking for her agenda. Okay, I think that is our last meeting. Okay, hold on. I did lose my agenda for good this time. Okay. So that is the end of that, and we're now looking at any staff updates. Alex, do you have any staff? Oh, somebody's hand is up. Phone number ending 659. With the person whose phone number ends 659 whose hand is raised, please unmute and let us know what your question is.
Glenn Kravosky for 25 Seaview Road.
Okay, we're not up to you yet on the agenda, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you have a question now?
No, ma'am. I thought it was up next. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So next up on our agenda is staff updates. And I want to see if Alex has anything under that category. No?
Yeah, I'll do a couple quick updates. If the commission recalls, we have an order of conditions at 3 Linwood Trace. That was the development of a previously undeveloped parcel. That project is now underway. I did a pre-construction out there with the builder, say about a week ago. And so the tree work has started. And that project is underway. And then the other update I have is that, excuse me, Nick Sanders, he's with the Natural Resource Department. He'll be providing the commission with an update on the Boat Meadow aquaculture development area. Update, their annual update. I pushed that back a little bit this year just with how busy our agendas have been. Looks like our next meeting is going to be busy as well, but I'm firm with the April 14th update from Nick, so we'll be getting that from him at the next meeting.
Okay, excellent. And then okay, now we're looking at violations, and we're going to start with 25 Seaview Road. So Glenn, now we're going to be looking at this. And I'm going to say that thank you for the site plan. It was very useful. Cinnamon and I were out at the site this morning, and we can see that a lot of effort has gone into cleaning up the piles of wood chips and the logs and any human debris and so on. So that looks pretty good there.
Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
We do have 2 stumps within the buffer zone, one to the north, one to the south, one closer to the 25 Seaview, directly above the PERM 100-foot buffer, adjacent to the 100-foot, and there's another one more to the north you might see. That was a leaning tree there, pitch pine, and there was another species with the pitch pine on that northern. It was like double stumps coming out for 2 different species. We would look for any guidance of the commission might want for that. I might also, I just noticed that all the way to the north, it says lawn. I'm not sure that is actual lawn. That might have been an error. Used land, there's no question. I did have the surveyor show the limit of tree clear, or should I say tree line. And I know that Mr. Adrian was there today, and we did see when I was there last Tuesday, because I oversaw the initial, told them to get down to the surface of the A horizon, and that was closer to the southeast side, near that limit of restoration dead pitch pine. We came up with that, and I wouldn't put any words clearly in Mr. Bates's mouth, but I think that we had at least looked at that would be the limit. There is some other debris or rotted material more to the right of that if we're facing the plan. But that was there was some material, as we might say, that was here prior to my client buying the site, such as the human debris pile. Some of that organic fill pile, I believe, might have been ours too. But I want to make clear to them there was concrete also and wood product, that everything has to get off this other property. So that's where we were going with. As far as seeding, I did want to seed potentially the area, but I'll listen to thank you that you have to say for what you want next.
Okay, so it was very clear that a lot of the work was on your neighbor's property, of the property at 1080 State Highway, including that larger double stump would have been their tree, and then the one stump that was within your client's property. And then we did see that when you removed the giant piles of wood chips and the wood chips that had been spread, that some of the ground had been disturbed down to the bare soil. So I think you are proposing, and what I'd like to see is that maybe some conservation grass or something gets seeded in there, because it looks like perhaps the rest of the area will return on its own over time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Do you agree?
We did plan on, yes, I agree. We were looking at the Cape Cod. I have a list here, Cape Cod native wildflower mix. We did talk to people that sell it, but it for a quarter pound, it's $20, and we calculated the area. We wanted to mix that, at least a couple of pounds of it, with fescue to get both this native mix along with a grass cover at the same time. I did hear earlier on. Yes, go on. Sorry.
There are native. It just want to be native fescue mixes.
Yes,
of
course. That's what I was going to bring up. That somebody mentioned native dry land grasses earlier on, and we want to, if we could talk to Mr. Bates and then we get some listing of where I find that. I'm sure we can Google it up, but if there's anything in your database, send it along and we'll go to that location if that's proper, and then pick it up that way.
Okay, and then we're going to need to talk about the tree replacement mitigation, and obviously the one that is on your property is a little easier because that only requires basically us to tell you we need to do this and you to go and do it. But the other one is on the neighbor's property, so we do need them to also approve any work that would be done there and to consult on the tree replacements. And I don't see them on the meeting tonight. So what are you proposing for tree replacements and mitigation? Usually we require two to one mitigation.
The landscaper, Adrian, had discussed some American holly out there. We could always go back with the pitch pine again, and there is a non-native, but it is quite extensive in Europe down the Cape, which is the black locust.
Right, we'd like to see native. Right, so we'd need to see native replacement trees.
Do you have? Sorry, thank you, ma'am. Through you, do you have a list of your native trees that you might share with us, and I'll have the client pick out, and we'll talk to the neighbor and make sure that they're amenable to whatever we end up with it.
Yeah, Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, we do have a pretty comprehensive list on our website, and I could email you that tomorrow when I'm in the office.
Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. We'll pick that. We'll get to the clients. We'll get to the neighbor. That phone number might not be easy to find or email. Yes, I'm not sure if they're willing to. If you're willing to share it, if they're willing to share it, we'd like to talk to them. And I don't have a direct contact to those people. I'm not sure my client does either. But somehow we need to communicate with the Bradfords.
You might need to communicate through Alex, or Alex would need to ask their permission to share contact.
Thank you very much. We'll do that.
Okay, so if you could do that, and then I think come back to us with a plan, so we can discuss. I'm going to ask before we move on from that if there anything the commissioners want to say on this. Okay, Alex, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I just want to set a timeline for this next application. And from what we discussed, Karen, an RDA seems to be an appropriate avenue to permit the mitigation.
Yes, but yeah, and we'll need to have the sign off on the RDA also from the other property owners, or at least their permission that the work can be done. So I think you can get together with Alex to discuss what's needed there. And we want a deadline for the RDA submission. How long do you think that might take for you to get together?
Well, when is your next meeting?
Well, I think we're past the deadline for that. So the next meeting would be April 24th. Do you have, Alex, the submission deadline for that in front of you? I thought I had the calendar.
Yeah, I thought I had it in front of me as well. I do not.
Okay, I'm going to pull it
Why
up.
don't to play it safe, perhaps we recommend the first meeting in March. I mean, not March, May.
So May, because we're in March. But yeah, so that would be here. I've got hold on one second. The first meeting in May would be May 12th, and the RDA would have to be submitted by April 24th.
I have the deadline stated in, okay?
Would that work for you? Is that doable?
Yes, I believe that should be plenty of time, I would think, it's a month away to get a deadline going, sure. And then May 12th for a public meeting.
Yes.
Very good. I have it noted, and I'll be in touch with the agent again.
Okay. Thank you so much, and
I
we
appreciate your time.
And we do appreciate your taking care of these things in a timely fashion.
I'll tell the client that, and we appreciate that from EBT. We do work to satisfy the commissions as quick as possible. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Have a good day. Appreciate it.
You too.
Thanks.
Okay. Next, we're looking at 153 Brownell Road. So I think Hillary was going to give us an update on that.
Sure thing. I'm going to keep it brief. We did send out the enforcement order. We did not receive any literature back that we can share with the commission. We have been in touch with our counsel, who has been in touch with the property owners council, and we are waiting information. We have not yet spoken with our counsel to see what the update may be.
Okay.
And I guess to further update, the building department did issue an emergency demolition permit to demolish half of the house and move half of the house back and set it up on cribbing and drop an temporary electrical service.
Okay,
so that's all information that we have to date.
But we have not approved that. And
absolutely not.
They can't go ahead without our approval. We actually have denied that.
Correct.
So how does that get reconciled?
My understanding is that the applicant is going to file another emergency certification. That will be the third emergency certification. And we will then summons the commission for an emergency meeting, depending on when we get that in, because we have 24 hours to respond. So we will need a quorum of the commission to weigh in on the application. You will hear the application again and perhaps hear new information and take another vote.
Okay, so we also can do that with either Alex or I signing off denying the emergency cert and then the commission ratifying that at a later meeting. I think that
correct. If you're comfortable doing that.
So that would be the question for the commission. Are you comfortable with that? We've already issued a denial for specific reasons. And would you be satisfied with Alex, Hillary, and I reviewing it and making a decision on your behalf, and then it comes for ratification later? Mike?
Yeah, yes, with the caveat that if there's a significant material change in the application, I'd want to hear about it. I won't define what significant is. You decide that. I'd be comfortable if you decided that. But Hillary said there may be new information. If there is new information, I'd like to hear it.
Okay, I just mentioned that it's very hard to get a quorum together under the open meeting law in less than 48 hours, and the emergency cert has a 24-hour deadline. So
I'd be comfortable if I got an email, and if you heard from me, great, and if you didn't hear from me, great, and we'd go from there. With material change. If it's the same, then there's no issues.
Okay. I know it's a lot to ask of people to do all of this, and
I did suggest to them that they would submit their materials today, and we could have gotten them on tonight's agenda under an emergency. That wasn't amenable to them because they wanted to come into the office apparently and discuss the application with Alex and I before submitting anything. So,
even though you have emergency, Alex has emergency authority to sign off, but the commission will still have to ratify it later. And there's always the chance that the commission will say, we really don't like that and we're not going to ratify it. So it would make most sense if they could get it in front of the whole commission.
That was my hope, but again, that's not what happened because we're sitting here empty-handed.
Right. And their next opportunity won't be till April 14th, which is quite a ways away. So I expect we'll probably get that emergency cert request in between when it won't be possible to have the commission weigh in.
And quite frankly, they could have filed the full notice of intent by now. So I guess I'm getting to think there's little value in the emergency certification because it's been, I don't know, we can go back and calculate the days, but it's been a lot of days.
February 5th was the date of the condemnation order. So it's been a long time, and Friday was the deadline to submit for the April 14th meeting this past Friday. So they could have absolutely have submitted a filing for that.
Agreed.
Okay. So Janet, you had your hand up.
I am very comfortable with you signing for us.
Me too.
Okay. Greg?
Myself too. I'm very comfortable with you and Alex making that decision.
Okay. All right. So there we are. Sort of running in place, more or less, I think. Anything else, Greg?
Yeah, I was just wondering, do we know if they're going to provide us with like an engineering report, like some type of document that says if they bring these trucks so close to the bank, they're gonna take these measures so that they don't create a worse problem? Is there something like that happening? Do we know?
We don't know, I think.
We don't know for sure. We know that they've hired Ambrose to move the home. They've hired Cape Cod Excavating. They've hired an additional attorney out of the Boston area. They've hired Ben Zender, and they've hired Jason Ellis. One of the homeowners, I also understand, is a PE and is working on some documents that they're going to submit as part of their application.
Right. Ian Mead said he was
what those
a
documents
PE.
are? Yeah, what those documents are, I don't know.
But if they did submit that would be perhaps something of a material change, but it would only address one of the three reasons for denial. The last time we denied. So that's kind of, where we are there.
No matter what, at one point we will see these documents, right? I'm curious. I do want to see them.
Well, that kind of depends on them and not us. So, yeah. So, anyway, so that's where that is. And I think Alex is going to give us an update on the Gary Vecchione issues with 150 State Highway.
Yes, thank you, Karen. I'll split this update into two sections. First I'll touch on the citations that we've written to Mr. Vecchione. And as the commission is well aware, we were issuing daily citations for the fence between May 29th and October 15th. On our end, how that worked is we batched those citations weekly and would mail them out. And Mr. Vecchione would contest these. And so we have multiple batches of citations moving through district court. It kind of gets confusing with all the court hearings that we've had regarding this. Our latest one was last Friday, and with discussion with the court magistrate, we decided to combined all these batched citations together into one hearing. That hearing is going to be on May 4th, I believe. And at this hearing, we have potentially an opportunity to come to a settlement with Mr. Vecchione for a number that we would accept as payment for these citations. I went through prior to tonight's meeting and added everything up.
Okay, can we just make clear that this is the district court portion only
Correct.
and does not have anything to do with the Superior Court part of this case?
Correct. Yep. So as the commission knows, we've got the contested citations moving through district court. We also have a separate court order moving through Superior Courts. I believe our next hearing for that is later this month. Did you have something to add, Hillary?
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear to the commission that the citations that we issued run with Gary Vecchione himself and not the property. The violations run with the property. The non-criminal citations run with Gary, and then they turn into a criminal complaint for the next step in the court case at the district court. So that's what we all agreed to.
Right, and the same thing is true in Superior Court. The violations run with the land, the fines, and the possible civil contempt matter stay with Gary.
Correct.
Okay.
So for the fence, we wrote 140 citations. These were, I'm sorry, it was for the span of 140 days, $100 a day citation. So for the fence, that came to a total of $14,000. Earlier this year for the docks, this was for Mr. Vecchione to submit permitting for the removal of the docks. We issued a $300 a day per dock citation totaling $600 a day between January 14th and February 9th. That totaled to $16,200. So in total, our citations to Mr. Vecchione are $30,200. And tonight, I wanted to have a discussion with the commission to see what they're willing to accept as payment if a settlement is reached on May 4th.
And I just wanted to note before we start that the matter of the unpermitted fence came to Alex and Hillary's attention a year ago, early in March, and we first heard the matter on permitting the fence on April 8th last year. So it's been a full calendar year.
It's been a full calendar year, and it's been unfortunately a violation that we never gained compliance through, Mr. Vecchione, and it took significant staff time throughout this entire process.
Right. So the question is that if we were going to settle, I think what you all would be willing to accept there. And I think that I'm of the idea that we should accept no less than half, because it's been a considerable drain on our resources, our staff resources. It's been a drain on our meeting times, which has affected other filings as well. And we have not achieved compliance on anything. And that's my thought. Hillary?
I just want to add that after the magistrate hearing, which took probably 45 minutes to an hour, and we tried our hardest to get Mr. Vecchione to agree to pay us a settlement because of the time and effort we put in. And we went back and forth about what amount would be acceptable. And Alex and I said, well, we really have to go back to the commission and talk to the commission about what amount is acceptable. But had we been able to agree on a number that seemed reasonable, I may have just said, sure, let's take it and make this go away. And I pleaded with Mr. Vecchione to agree to something so that we didn't have to continue to a trial, which is what he wants. And I tried to get him to understand that this is useless because someone is going to come in and correct these violations to our likings. And this is just for nothing. And he wants to clear his name. He wants to have the trial. No amount of money would be sufficient. But we left it such that we would get back to the ADA with a number. And when we spoke to the ADA, he told us that a reasonable number would be around $500 is really the most that he could see as reasonable. And Alex and I kind of looked at each other and we're like, how is this even possible that we've put in so many hours of staff time for this and $500 is reasonable? So it went from $500 being reasonable to $500 being a lot for anyone to collect in this court. So I put that out there for your consideration because we're considering $14,000. And I think that the magistrate and the judge may find that unreasonable, but it is what it is. Thing is unreasonable.
Well, we never got compliance on anything. The matter still exists. We're still going forward with new owners here. That some of this has likely caused some damage to the salt marsh and so on. And
for sure,
I also note that Gary has been trying to litigate the violation in civil court when the only thing, in district court, when the only thing that exists in district court are the tickets, and that the violation itself is handled through Superior Court, and he has not actually appealed any of the enforcement orders nor tried to address those in the proper venue. So that's where we are here, and yeah.
Don't we have legal costs? Aren't those definable?
Yes,
we do. You must have
we do have legal costs.
quite a bit.
We do.
Right.
Paying the legal bills at the minimum.
So if
we don't want to waste.
Yeah, but Superior Court, when we got the preliminary injunctions, did assign our legal fees to Gary to cover. So I don't know that doesn't include the district court legal fees, but it does include the violation legal fees once they were in that venue. So yeah. It is a lot to contemplate the idea that with having gone on so long that the court would think $500 would be sufficient for multiple violations or up to 4 violations for him over a period of a year with zero compliance and yeah. So that's I don't have a lot to say on that, except I don't understand, or they don't understand the importance of allowing us to apply and enforce the regulation. So, okay. What is your please don't raise your hand, but jump in and give us your thoughts on what you'd like to see here.
Can I come up with a settlement, or can we just keep it as is, where it is at the $30,000? That's where I'm at. I see no room on his part. I don't see why we've done nothing wrong. So
are they likely to kick it out of court if we're not willing to settle, and they just let them off?
I think they wouldn't. Okay, so the whole purpose of all of this citation writing, going to court, is to gain compliance. Once the court hears that we've gained compliance, they're going to just say, get out of here.
But we haven't gained compliance.
Well, we haven't gained compliance, but we are going, when we gain compliance, they're going to tell us to get out of here. And so we risk not collecting anything if we're stubborn and say, no, we need to collect the whole amount. So they throw these tickets out all of the time. It's really eye-opening to spend some time in the district court. I recommend everybody go and sit there and see how things like happen and what the results are. But you're always on the wrong side, is what I'm gathering after all these days spent there. So I feel like if we can at least collect something, we're winning.
And you
Yeah,
need
but
compliance by the new
$500.
owners, that there's going to be compliance somewhere along the line, not by Gary, but somewhere.
Yeah, and perhaps the Superior Court will have a different opinion because that is contempt of their order, which is very different, I think. Janet?
I like the idea of having him pay for staff time. Is there a way of actually figuring that out within a ballpark figure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point, Janet. And I did give this some thought. You know, each citation, when I write that, I rent the car, I drive to the property, I look at the fence, I drive back, I write the ticket, write the report, file it with the town clerk. That's probably 45 minutes of my time. And so we could come up with an amount that could at least cover my time that it took to write. How many citations did I say? 56 tickets.
Yeah. But is that a strong argument for a fine that's supposed to achieve compliance?
It's just
Sorry, an email from Gary just came in, and I feel like it's not just the time it takes to go out and look and write the ticket. It's the time we also have to correspond with him, and the time his public records requests take because he's unhappy with what we're doing, or like so. It's more than just the time to write the ticket, go and look, file this, and rent the car. Like there's all this other like stuff that goes along with all of
Right.
it.
It was a significant burden on the town to try and get compliance here, is what you're saying. Mike?
Yes.
I used to work in Washington, D.C., where you can't throw a stick without hitting 5 lawyers. And between patients and some of my doctors who were involved in malpractice lawsuits and lawsuits that we got involved in with build outs for offices. And at one point I had to get an order against a patient who was sending threatening letters to my staff and threatening to bring a gun to the office and shoot people. Whenever I'm involved in the court system, they don't care about what you think. They care about resolving it. So, Cinnamon, to your point, it makes sense that we should go for the whole $30,000. They don't think that way. That's not what this system thinks about. This system will think about what's reasonable in the scope of the types of things that they have to adjudicate. And what I found really helpful in any of these situations, because none of it made any sense to me, because it wasn't accurate ever, I would ask the attorney who was representing me, what do you think the judge is going to want? And that's what I would go with. And that saved me a whole bunch of angst. We can spend all night thinking ways of trying to read the judge's mind right now, and we're all going to fail.
Right.
So my suggestion right now is that, Hillary, you ask our attorney, what do you think we should settle? That's the dollar value, and we go with it, and we're done with it. Because you're never, nobody on this call is going to be satisfied with that number. I can guarantee you.
That's true.
Okay. It's going to be closer to $500 than it is $15,000. I already know that just hearing how this is put together. So nobody's going to be happy with this number, but let's
But we'll be happy to.
right?
We have
And
to
if-
have it
and-
end, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're gonna it's a happy end. And the attorney, and I would pitch the attorney. I think one thing that I did hear this evening is there is time and effort between Hillary and Alex, and if that makes sense to the attorney, then that's a road we can go down to. But just by saying, well, we are owed $30,000 and we're expecting $30,000, they'll just ignore that and keep going.
I never expected to get the full amount of the fines anyway, because that's
No.
my understanding how wetland fines
and-
work.
and-
And if he had
right.
been compliant at any time, we certainly would have backed away and dismissed some of the fines on our own at a certain point. So, Hillary?
I was going to say, when I left the district court, I did call our attorney because we seemed to talk to him an awful lot. And I did review with him this $500 number versus the number that we had. And he hemmed and hawed over it and was kind of astonished a little bit too. But the number is going to be, lower rather than high. So I guess the other thing I was going to say is we haven't dragged our attorney into district court because it just doesn't seem fruitful. And we can handle district court on our own. Superior Court's a whole nother, environment.
Okay. So I would be satisfied, I guess, given the circumstances, if you and Alex decided what was most appropriate given the circumstances when you are next in court.
Okay.
What it seems like the mood is, shall we say?
Yeah.
But I might propose something higher than $500 as your starting point and see if you can't.
Yeah, absolutely. We are not offering 500. We will offer something higher, and if we have to settle for 500, then maybe we will or maybe we won't. But we will calculate some things and get back to the ADA with a number and see what happens.
And overall, the time you guys spent is a cost that we need to have because we do need to enforce our regulations. So that is our responsibility in the end.
And yes, and I want you to listen to this email that we just received because this is what we deal with. Hillary and Alex, it's now been 6 days since I notified you of loose docks on Town Cove. Please consider this email as my formal complaint that these docks are a danger to boats moored in the general area and to boat traffic and abutting property should they break free. Please send me a follow-up of the Commission's action plan. As I'm living on the property until court action says otherwise, it's disconcerting to see these 12 docks running free and the gangway sitting inside a resource area when it's quite an easy fix to stabilize them until the proper permits are in place to remove them and secure them for the upcoming season. The DEP Wetlands Division will be sent a copy of this notice. Thank you. So, no matter what we do, we're wrong. We try to get him to fix the docks. He waits till they break free. And then what are we going to do about it? So, this is the world we're living in. $500 is not enough.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess
That isn't enough.
It's just, I feel like I'm going insane.
On the other
You
hand,
can't make this up.
Yes, but on the other hand, being done with him is priceless.
Yes.
So okay. So are we at a happy enough place here to allow Alex and Hillary to go on with it? Yes,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Moving on to the other portion of 150 State Highway. Alex, you
Hang
want to
on.
go through that as well?
Yes. So after the March 10th commission meeting, or I should say during that meeting, the commission voted to send a letter to the new property owners outlining our concerns with the seasonal docks that remained in the water. Just for the record, we have been previously trying to work with Mr. Vecchione to get these docks out of the water. We instructed him to permit that with the request for determination of applicability. that never came to fruition. Since then, the conditions have changed. After the sea ice moved into Town Cove and after the February blizzard, the docks have obviously been damaged. And so the situation is a little bit more urgent than it was before. After sending that letter out, I was able to establish communication with the new property owners. They're with us here tonight. Thank you for bearing with us with a long agenda, and you're at the end of it. So thank you for your patience. I advise the new property owners that the best course of action at this point would be to apply, or I should say request, an emergency certification for the removal of both seasonal docks and the gangways that are now fallen in the water. This afternoon, I sent the commission a site plan that was annotated with the proposed dock storage location next to Cottage 7. And the new property owners have reached out to Ames Marine, who has provided the commission some protocols which they would use to remove the docks. So I know the commission has been eager to meet the new property owners. So I guess at this point, I would like to allow the commission to have a conversation about this.
Well, I'm going to say thank you for joining us tonight. We really do appreciate your willingness to work with us on this matter and get it cleared up. I know it's not something you want hanging over you either. And also thank you for the protocols that were submitted. Do you have any, I want to ask if you have any questions for us before we continue on with this discussion?
Not yet.
Okay. So we do have the protocols. We could do an emergency certification. We're looking for perhaps information on the timeline that the removal could occur.
So we've asked Ames to do it as quickly as possible. Their hesitation is to put us on a schedule until we have the emergency approval. But from what we're hearing, it will not happen before the end of the month, but I'm hoping in the next 10, 15 days.
Okay. We should be able to, since we have the protocol, to vote on an emergency certification tonight, I believe. Is that correct, Alex?
Yes, I believe so. And then just to note that any work that's covered under an emergency certification must be completed within 30 days. So that's the timeline we're looking at.
Yeah, and if we could get it done within 30 hours, we would do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, okay. So I think the protocol looks pretty clear. I think we've been clear that it should be the removable portions of all of the docks. And you have given us a upland storage location for where the dock components would go, which seems to be adequate. And I'm going to see if the commissioners have any questions maybe on this. Okay. Otherwise, we can just go ahead and have a motion on the giving emergency certification here, having received a dock removal protocols and site plan that we would issue. What would be Alex? Any thoughts on the language for the motion?
A motion to approve an emergency certification for the removal of the seasonal docks at 150 Old State Highway, following the protocol submitted by Ames Marine, give or take.
Okay, with right, as per the emergency certification requirements, with the work to be completed within 30 days from the issuance of the certification. Okay, that sounds about right. Does somebody want to make that motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
Second,
Okay. Cinnamon,
yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
And what I was like to say one more thing. I
Uh-huh.
just want to, look at it. It is our goal, obviously to come in compliance, not just with this, but also the fence, and also to be good neighbors to everybody. That is our goal. We're not on the Cape, but that's our goal from where we stand.
Okay, and we appreciate that, and we come into everything assuming that everybody wants to do the right thing and that we are trying to work with you on that. So we didn't come in trying to find you or anything right away, that we've given you some room to work on this because you know it's the right thing to do and get it cleared up as quickly as possible. And now Alex can issue the orders for this. How long will that take, Alex? You're muted.
Thank you. I could have this ready tomorrow.
Okay, and then you can give it to Ames Marine, and I think we're good to go. And we do appreciate you joining us tonight, and I guess we can visit the fence at a future time, as that's a little less urgent. But we still would like to have it done in a pretty timely fashion, as it needs to be finished with.
Yes, ma'am.
As you could understand from our previous conversation there, we've been going through this for a while. It's time to move on, and so anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alex will be in touch. Okay, and good night. Okay, and then I think we're pretty much done with the agenda except the liaison reports. So I have a liaison report that I have decided that after 7 years on the Open Space Committee, it's time for me to move on from that. It's a little bittersweet for me, but given other things going on in my life, that I feel like I wasn't contributing at the high level that I needed to, and it seemed like a good opportunity to open it up to one of our commissioners. And I have talked with Cinnamon and Mike about it, and as Greg and Janet already have committee liaison assignments, and Cinnamon has been very enthusiastic about taking this on. So I would like to nominate Cinnamon as the Conservation Commission Open Space Liaison.
Second.
Okay. Janet.
Yes.
Cinnamon.
Yes.
She's very excited by it. Mike?
Yes, and thank you, Sarah.
Greg?
Thank you.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. And I'm just going to tell you all that the Open Space Committee is fabulous. It's really nice people that go out and actually do all kinds of maintenance and invasive species removal, and spend a lot of time out at our open space sites in addition to the other work of the committee. So they really are the backbone of our open spaces and conservation spaces with the trails that people use so often. So they're going to enjoy you too, Cinnamon. I know you'll enjoy them.
Thank you. I'm very much looking forward, and thank you all for your support.
Yeah, Karen, you'll be missed, but excited to have you aboard, Cinnamon.
Thank you.
Well, I'm still going to be there when the Sandy Meadow ADA trail opens, because that's been very important to me, and I'm definitely always available if the open space or Cinnamon needs any consultation or my experience. So I'm very delighted to pass it off to Cinnamon here, but I will miss it. Okay, and so then liaison reports. Anything from CPA committee? No. Anything new from Forest?
Yeah, we had a really nice field trip to Wiley Park with Russ Norton. He's I guess he's the Cape Cod's expert on plants, and he's He went with us and walked through the plantings that had been done in the past and looked at the status of what was going on and where they were placed and what plants were planted in which locations. And so he's going to look at what we've done or what's been done in the past and make some recommendations, which we'll have on April 2nd. And again, whatever they decide the plants to plant, it's going to come through here as well. We'll make we'll file I don't know which one to file, but you'll have to tell me.
Okay, well, you can always ask me or Alex on what you need to do there. So
yeah, so
that's awesome. It's really nice when we have some outside top people come in and take a look and offer advice and so on.
Yeah.
But okay, and then I have nothing to update at this moment on strategic planning, and I think I've had enough updates for open space. So there we go. Let's see, anything else? Any education and training updates? Oh, Janet?
Yes, before we end in a hurry, I want to thank you for leading this long meeting tonight and for doing it so well.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we definitely got through it actually pretty quickly.
I can remember going until 10 o'clock in some meetings.
Oh, that was
Not
never
with
going to happen. That was never going to happen. Alex and I talked before the meeting, and I said, "Oh, I think I can get through a lot of this really, really fast." And we did that. So then we had enough time to spend more time on the other ones, and we're still done about 9 o'clock. So that's not too bad.
No.
And yeah. So we do have some educational opportunities coming up. I think that should be noted. The Dark Skies presentation, which I believe is next week. Oh, let me get my calendar. Sorry.
I think it's next Wednesday evening.
Yeah, so that's I thought it was the 31st.
That's Tuesday.
Tuesday the 31st, I believe. And then tomorrow at there is a Cape Cod's Geologic Evolution that is part of the NAPPI's Winter Lecture Series. That Dr. Katie Castagno, who's the director for the Center for Coastal Studies Land-Sea Interaction Program, is going to speak about a lecture on the Land-Sea Interaction Program through geologic time. So it's an opportunity to learn some interesting things about Cape Cod geology over time. You can find information about that if you do a search for NAPPI's Winter Lecture Series, and there is a link to register. So you can attend in person or you can attend on Zoom. And I think that's kind of what's coming up. Okay.
Hi, this is Wayne. Motion to adjourn.
We'll give you ex officio status there. Okay. Anything anybody else want to say tonight? Otherwise, somebody should motion and second Wayne.
There's no minutes to approve.
No, I don't think so.
I just looked. See.
Okay.
There weren't any minutes.
And if they were, we can continue that to the next meeting. But somebody make a motion and a second, please.
Move to adjourn.
Wayne wants to go home. So
Wayne can go home.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Cinnamon?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Wayne says yes.
Thank you. And I'm a yes as well. and Wayne, we definitely appreciate you. So, all right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.